So the Quest 3S is here, and it costs $200 less than the Quest 3, which was released last year, and I want to talk about why this headset might be a lot better than you think. So I've owned the Quest 3 since launch, and I've now been using the Quest 3S, and comparing them side by side, I have a few things to say about this headset which may or may not surprise you. I wanted to make this review because I see a lot of people recommending the Quest 3 over the 3S, especially those telling people to save up the extra money at all costs, because apparently the 3S is just an inferior device altogether, and that just simply isn't true. My overall experience with the Quest 3S has shown me that not only does the Quest 3S get you nearly the exact same experience that the Quest 3 does, but I've found that it does some things even better than the Quest 3. So if you don't want to watch this whole video, my main point with this video is that the Quest 3S gets you about 99% of the experience that you get with the Quest 3. You aren't missing out on hardly anything by going with this newer, cheaper option. So I've got 6-ish things that the Quest 3S I think does better than the more expensive Quest 3. Number 1 is binocular overlap. The Quest 3S has the same great binocular overlap that the Quest 2 has, since they use the same lenses and display. For some reason, with the Quest 3, Meta decided to sacrifice some binocular overlap to gain some FOV. Although many people don't notice the negative impact from this, I personally notice a significant loss in depth and immersion on the Quest 3. I'm definitely not an expert on what makes a headset immersive, but on headsets with good binocular overlap like the Quest 3S or PSVR 2, I can easily get immersed and play for hours because I feel just like a greater sense of presence, like I'm really in that game that I'm playing. With the Quest 3, to me it feels a lot more like I'm just looking at like a high resolution flat screen strapped to my face. So as much as I love the clarity of the lenses on the Quest 3, I still find it hard to get as immersed when I'm playing it compared to other headsets that I use. This might sound a little crazy at first, but there are countless other posts online from people who have had the same experience as me, and even the VR YouTuber MRTV said in his own video that he prefers using the Quest 3S over the Quest 3 for this exact reason.
And the Quest 3S has a bigger binocular overlap than the Quest 3. So for me personally, I actually prefer the Quest 3S optics. It is simply like that.
So number 2 is battery life. I'm not going to talk about this one for too long because the battery life is bad on both the Quest 3 and the Quest 3S, but Meta themselves have said in their website that the Quest 3S has about an extra half hour of battery life despite having a smaller battery, probably due to the Quest 3S having just one display, which runs at a lower resolution compared to the Quest 3, which has 2 displays. I always found it kind of crazy that the Quest 2 already had poor battery life, and then they released the Quest 3 with even worse battery life. So I'm glad that the Quest 3S goes back to having a slightly longer runtime. Number 3 is better hand tracking and low light performance. One of the new hardware additions that the Quest 3S got is this pair of IR light blasters on the front of the headset. You can see in this video from Fix My Oculus that these lights actually get pretty bright, and they actually make quite a bit of difference for hand tracking and regular controller tracking in poor lighting conditions. They actually get bright enough that you can almost play in complete darkness without any additional IR lamp, which is pretty cool. And an added bonus is that they look really cool on camera because they show up with this reddish purple glow. Number 4 is another hardware change, and that's the addition of a pass-through button and just generally better buttons on the headset. The Quest 3 has a really thin and recessed volume rocker and power button, and the 3S buttons seem to be slightly larger and protrude a little bit more, and they also seem to be a bit clickier. These are very small differences, but when you have the headset on and you're fumbling blindly to find the buttons, it actually makes a pretty big difference when the buttons are more pronounced. Number 5 is the facial interface. Meta seriously dropped the ball with the facial interface on the Quest 3. I won't say it's completely bad because I personally really like the new woven fabric material a lot, but the eye relief mechanism that they made for it is just terrible. You adjust your distance to the lenses by adjusting this little plastic pin, and it's just extremely flimsy and unreliable. I've had like 3 of these facial interfaces either come already broken or just break by touching them. Since I have long eyelashes, I keep the pin on the furthest setting so that the lenses are the further from my eyes, and the facial interface just constantly collapses on itself because the mechanism is just not sturdy enough. With the Quest 3S, they totally redesigned the facial interface, making it one solid piece, with a separate glasses spacer piece that you can add on if you need more space. This is just way more reliable and it works great, and I don't feel like I have to baby the facial interface to prevent it from breaking like I do with the Quest 3. And finally, for the last one, I'm adding a little personal opinion, which is just that the Quest 3S just looks way cooler than the Quest 3. Maybe it's just me, but the Quest 3 kind of looks like a toy with those oval shapes and the goofy looking sensor array on the front. So yeah, those are just some of the reasons that people might actually prefer the Quest 3S over the Quest 3. Of course, there are also a few reasons you might prefer the Quest 3 over the 3S, like maybe those super clear lenses or the aux port or the wider IPD range, but that's a whole nother story. I just think the 3S is an awesome headset and you might consider giving it a try before spending that extra money on the older Quest 3.